Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome to your literacy lesson or English lesson, and let's get started. So from Monday's work, because on Tuesday you don't have English, I've chosen 3 examples of really good work to share with you because I think when we see examples of really good work, it helps us to see maybe what we can do to make our work even better. And it's great to celebrate children who work really, really hard on theirs. If I didn't choose yours, it doesn't mean it wasn't lovely. I just chose these 3 today. So I'm sure you did a great job as well. So the first piece I've chosen is Tanisha's. I love how Tanisha has filled the whole square or her whole page with a picture. And she's made sure that she's drawn her jumblies and the storm, and she's labeled, and she's used different colors. And what I really liked about Tanisha's work that I noticed, which is a really good strategy, is at the bottom where she has her word bank, I can see that she's given herself a tick for each of the words that she used. So she can tell if she's used them in her labeling. And that's a really good strategy. Just like when we do maths, we tick off the pictures as we count them to make sure we've got them all. Tanisha's used this list to help her to tick off if she's used those words. So I thought that was a really good strategy that we could use. The next piece of work I've chosen is Joshua's. And again, I love how Joshua used so much of his page when he did his picture. So he didn't just draw the Jumblies boat, he made sure that he drew the sea. He's even got fish in the sea. I can see a storm up here. And he's labeled absolutely everything that he's created. So that's absolutely fantastic. And I also noticed that Joshua has taken on the challenge, which is to write some full sentences about the Jumblies. So the Jumblies are small with blue hands. They sailed the sea in a storm. They sailed in a sieve, which was scary. And the Jumblies have green heads. So lots of good describing. And I can't see them because I'm so far away from this picture, but I know that Joshua does his full stops really small. So I can see that he has capital letters and full stops, and he's used a capital letter on the Jumblies as well. So great job taking on that top challenge. I'm really, really pleased when I see that. And finally, I absolutely had to choose Shania's because her picture was just so beautiful. And you can see that she's taken so much time adding her colors, doing her drawings, and doing some really nice labeling. But my favorite part of it is that Shania added the Jumblies' friends, and she even added a speech bubble saying, "Are you afraid?" And I thought that was a really, really nice touch as well. So I can tell Shania was really listening to the poem when she was visualizing. So such beautiful creations of the Jumblies. I'm so pleased. And if you're looking for a way to make your work better, you could follow one of the tips that your friends have shown in their work today. Okay, so now we're going to get started on our work today. It's the 3rd of February 2021. And on a Wednesday, we do our focus on punctuation. So just like we do every Wednesday, you have 3 sentences, and down at the bottom, you have 3 different punctuation that you can use, and it's your job to put the punctuation with the right sentence. So we know if it's really, really exciting or scary or quite loud, we're going to be using an exclamation mark, like this one down here, down and a dot. If it's a regular telling sentence, we're going to be using a full stop. And if it's an asking sentence or a question, we're going to use a question mark. So I'm going to read the sentences to you, and then you can pause the video and have a go at writing them down and make sure that you add the correct punctuation. So the Jumblies went to sea in a sieve. How many Jumblies are in the boat? You will sink and drown. So there's your clue for my expression. The Jumblies went to sea in a sieve. How many Jumblies are in the boat? You will sink and drown. I think that's what their friends were saying. So you can pause the video and have a go at completing those sentences and adding the punctuation. Lovely, and now we're back to the Jumblies. So just because poetry is so much fun and we need to listen to it and we need to enjoy it and we need to join in as we learn it, I'm going to read the Jumblies, the first 2 verses by Edward Lear, who's our poet we've been learning about. And I think I told you in my last video, but Edward Lear is a really old poet, and he can be quite a tricky poet to understand because the words are so different. So you've been doing a really, really good job learning about Edward Lear, and I'm really, really proud of you. So keep it up. Even when it's tricky and it's hard to understand, you're persevering, and that's fantastic. And that makes this learning really good. So I'm going to read the jumblies, and then we've got a different activity today. We're going to be doing some writing today. So they went to sea in a sieve, they did. In a sieve they went to sea. In spite of all their friends could say, on a winter's morn, on a stormy day, in a sieve they went to sea. And when the sieve turned round and round, and everyone cried, you'll all be drowned, they called aloud, our sieve ain't big, but we don't care a button, we don't care a fig. In a sieve we'll go to sea. Far and few are the lands where the jumblies live. Their heads are green and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. They sailed away in a sieve, they did. In a sieve they sailed so fast, with only a beautiful pea-green veil tied with a ribbon by way of a sail to a small tobacco pipe mast. And everyone said who saw them go, oh, won't they be soon upset, you know? For the sky is dark and the voyage is long, and happen what may, it's extremely wrong in a sieve to sail so fast. Far and few are the lands where the jumblies live. Their heads are green, and their hands are blue, and they went to sea in a sieve. I hope you were able to join in with some parts of that. Right. So today we're going to be learning to write for a reason, and we're writing to persuade. Now that's a different word. We've been talking about lots of different words today, haven't we? Well, I guess you're doing this video before you do your reading one. So when you do your reading video, you're going to see that we're doing predicting. We're not retrieving, we're predicting. And today in our writing, we're not just writing to tell a story, we're writing to persuade, persuade. Anybody know what that word means? It's a new word. It's a word we haven't done much work on yet. Pause the video and have a think. Do you know what that word means? Lovely. I hope you were able to make a guess. Remember, our guess doesn't have to be right. So if we're writing to persuade, if that's our reason for writing, we're writing to convince someone. We want to convince them to do something. So think maybe, oh, I know. What if you really wanted to have ice cream for dinner? You'd have to be very convincing, wouldn't you, when you ask your parents if you could have ice cream for dinner. So you're trying to persuade them. You want to convince them that they should give you ice cream for dinner. And when we do that, we're trying to change someone's mind, because I would imagine that most of your parents don't want you to have ice cream for dinner, maybe a little bit after dinner, but it's usually not our whole dinner. So if we're trying to persuade someone, we're really trying to change their mind about something or make them believe in something. We're trying to make them convinced or make our choice. So today we're going to be writing to persuade. So we're really going to try and convince those jumblies that they should not go to sea in a sieve. We want them, we're begging them, we're trying to convince them that it's a bad idea. Raise your hand if you think you can be quite persuasive, if you can try and help me persuade the jumblies. I hope all your hands up, because it's a hard job. Those jumblies, they're a bit silly. They do what they want. So we're going to have to work pretty hard to persuade them. So to help you out a little bit, I have given you a guide. Let me see if I can get this so you can see it a bit better. So when we are persuading, when we're writing to persuade, we want to remember is that we have to give someone a reason. So if we're trying to convince someone something, we can't just say, you shouldn't go to sea in a sieve. It's a bad idea. That's not going to be very convincing. What's more convincing is if we give them some reasons why we're right. So it's important to give some reasons. And in this little guide over here, for persuasive writing, it shows us exactly what our persuasive writing should look like. So it's our success criteria for our persuasive writing. We need to start with an opinion sentence. So we're telling them what we think. So we could either say, you should go to sea in a sieve, or we could say, you should not go to sea in a sieve. What do you think we're going to be telling them to do today? Saying you should go or you should not go? Show me with your thumbs. Oh, I'm glad you guessed they should not go, because that's definitely the opinion we want to have. So you can see right at the start of my letter, got my letter over here, and I've used different colors for my sentences so you can see which part of my success criteria they are. So my very first sentence says, you should not go to sea in a sieve. So I'm telling them right away, you should not go. And what kind of punctuation did I use? Do you notice? That's right, an exclamation mark. I chose to use an exclamation mark because it's very important and I want them to listen. You should not go to sea in a sieve. Now have a look at the next part of our success criteria over here. So it says reason 1, reason 2, reason 3. That means we need to give them 3 different reasons why they should not go to sea in a sieve. Let's think about what we learned in the poem. Well, you should not go to sea in a sieve. It is very dangerous because the water could get through the holes. Well, it's very, very dangerous. In a sieve, you told me the other day that the water can get through the holes. So it's very, very dangerous. So we could say it is very dangerous. That's one reason. And what I like about this reason is the writers also said because. So they've told me it's very dangerous, and they've even told me more. They told me why it's dangerous. It's dangerous because the water could get through the holes. Then you could sink to the bottom of the sea. So that's reason number 2. So first, it's very dangerous because of the holes. Reason 2, you could sink to the bottom of the sea. Reason number 3, also, the sky is dark, so there could be a big storm. You might lose your way and get lost in the storm. So reason number 1, it's very dangerous because there's holes in your boat. Number 2, you could sink to the bottom of the sea. Reason number 3, the sky is dark, so there's probably a storm coming. You might get lost. That could be reason number 4, really. That's even better than 3 reasons. You might lose your way and get lost in the storm. So 3 or 4 reasons. The more reasons you can give, the better, or the more explaining you can give, the better, which is why I've underlined because and also and so, because this writer gave me lots of information. They didn't just say it was dangerous, full stop. It's dangerous because the water could get in the holes. So we tell them our opinion in the first sentence. We tell them our reasons. And then right at the bottom, our last sentence is to tell them our opinion again. So we really want them to know, to convince someone, it's good to repeat what you think. So sentence number 1, you should not go to sea in a sieve. And look at our last sentence. Please do not go to the sea in a sieve. Please do not go to the sea in a sieve. So they mean the same thing, don't they? Sentence 1 and our last sentence. You should not go and please do not go. So we repeat it again. You should not go, and right at the end, please do not go. A sieve. And in the middle, we've given all of our reasons. So it's a bit like a persuasive sandwich. We've got one bun at the top that tells them what we think they should do. We've got all those lovely reasons in the middle. It's a bit like our meat for our hamburger and our lettuce and our cheese. That's all the reasons why they shouldn't go. And at the bottom, we've got our bottom bun that tells us, again, what we think. You should not go. Now your top challenge, or your stretch challenge, right at the bottom here, can you give them a solution? So we're asking them not to go. Maybe we could give them a better idea. So right at the bottom, you can see my last sentence. I said, maybe you can get a better boat. So we're really challenging ourselves today. You can use mine as a guide. So now you've seen it. You could use my first sentence, you should not go to sea in a sieve. What I don't want to see is you sending in a picture of work that you just copied from me. You can absolutely use the same reasons, but you have to make up your own sentence. So this isn't an activity where you can just pause the screen and copy out what Miss Madison wrote, because we wouldn't do that at school, would we? Usually at school, and I'll tell you this so that mums and dads can hear it too. Usually at school, when we do some writing together and I share it with them, we do take it down after. So when they're doing their writing, they can't just copy it off the board. But you can use all the same reasons, all those ideas. You can absolutely use them in your letter to the Jumblies. So this is your success criteria for what we want to see for a really good piece of persuasive writing. We're trying to convince them. Tell them what they shouldn't do, give them 3 reasons why, and then tell them one more time what they shouldn't do. And that will be a really good piece of persuasive writing. And hopefully the Jumblies will be convinced not to go to the C in a sieve. And if you really want to stretch yourself, your 2 challenge, give them a solution, something they could do instead. I really can't wait to see your writing. I want you to take your time. A little bit of guidance for adults working with the children today. If your child is someone who really struggles to write 1 or 2 sentences by themselves, what we might do in school is give them a bit of help with the first sentence and then have them come up with 1 reason why they shouldn't go to the C in a sieve. And then they could finish with their last sentence. So you can have just 1 reason. That's for the children who you notice at home really need a lot of support just writing 1 sentence. Most of the children, most of you, should be able to do your 3 sentences of reasons in the middle. Okay, so if you send me your work, and I don't think you've done enough writing for what I usually see, I'm probably going to send an email back saying, oh, I think we need a few more sentences. But if you're working at home and you notice that, oh, my child does, this seems like a really daunting task, they need a lot of help to just write 1 or 2, then we just need 1 reason in the middle. And that's how we'd modify it at school. So I hope that's helpful. And I really can't wait to see your work. I think it's going to be really good, really convincing. Remember that special word, we're persuading them. We're trying to convince those Jumblies. So amazing work. I can't wait to read them. I can't wait to share some of them tomorrow. It's going to be great. And I will see you tomorrow.